Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
It's us. We're here. We're ready to rock and roll. Hopefully, everything worked there, and I can't think of anything that rhymes with roll. So, anyway.
Dave Grohl.
So there we are. We're here tonight. We weren't here last week because we were talking in our monthly sit and Patreon with all our Patreon supporters who decided to come along and announced our monthly Patreon winner of our competition, who our winner has now won themselves 30 quid's worth of hobby stuff. So if you're interested in coming and chatting to us of an evening or any of that stuff, do check out Patreon. So get that one out of the way quick.
The competition is available to all patrons every month and will be £30 of random stuff of your choice.
30 pounds. This month has a Halloween theme. Hobbying and Halloween.
Ooh.
Spooky. But anyway, you didn't come along for that.
I think everybody watching is already a patron.
Probably. Probably everybody's watching or ever will watch. But if you aren't, by some chance, then come along. It's quick, easy, always fun. There's always people around to chat stuff. And not just world stuff.
Yeah, behind us today is very representative of our content. I've got Kill Team behind me, and I've got Crisis Protocol and God Tier, and then you've got all the Shakespeare stuff. That's pretty.
Yeah, and my jumpers.
And your jumpers.
Because you can't see it, but down in the corner, just over there, just having my bathroom redone a minute. So all of the shit from the bathroom in the airing cupboards is behind me.
All the shit from the bathroom? That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Especially as you had your soil pipe cleaned out this week.
We did, yeah. Yeah, they took that out.
Anyway.
Yeah, you can't quite see the Blitz Bowl. It's right behind my head at the minute. Blitz Bowl 2, but we'll be trying to get some games of that in a
Blitz Bowl 2 seems to be cursed in the sense that every time we say, should we play Blitz Bowl this week, something arrives. So we said, should we play Blitz Bowl this week, and then hopefully something's going to arrive.
Something of which there may or may not be a fifth season of.
So I think basically if we want new stuff to turn up, we just decide we're going to play Blitz Bowl. And no, new stuff appear.
Kind of feels like that. I think we were contemplating it before, and then Kill Team landed, and then we were like, oh god, we got to do Kill Team stuff. And then we sort of went, oh god, Kill Team's rubbish, let's do something else. And then we thought, well, let's get God Tier out of the way, because I suppose we better play God Tier. And then spoilers, we sort of went, oh, actually, didn't mind that. That was quite good.
Kill Team, I would just say, isn't rubbish.
No, it's not.
A little bit head hurty.
I think it's
a bit. We're going to go back to basics if we can get there. We've got so much on. We've got Lego Marvel Crisis Protocol went live this week.
Yep.
Let us know if you enjoyed that. We're definitely hoping to play more of that. I've been painting some level. I'm painting
level crossings.
Some Marvel stuff today. I've been trying out my airbrush. I kind of ruined a car.
Great.
At least it wasn't a real car. I'm going to channel my inner Milan, one of our patrons, and drop it in some detail.
Tell it to fuck. Mr. Moore said he just wanted to say that he enjoyed our Lego Marvel Crisis Protocol. Thank you for that, Mr.
Brilliant.
Moore.
That's really nice to know, VJ.
Did enjoy playing that. So. It was very refreshing. Refreshing. It was very refreshing to play something with dice that wasn't just just regular D6. It was very nice to be able to roll a big handful of D8s for a change. It was quite a bit of a thrill there, really, for me.
Yes. Yeah. I think I've got a comment I need to read suggesting what we might do next. But I don't know about how you find it, Pete. The YouTube interface sometimes is really annoying. It tells me, I get my phone, it says you've got a comment, and I can see like the first few words, so I can kind of guess what video it's on. And I click on it, it just takes me somewhere else entirely. It's like, oh, well, that was helpful. Well, I haven't actually found it again, so I need to hunt through and find it.
Sometimes the thing itself is like the comment sometimes has been removed because the person who's written it has realised after they've written it that we've then corrected ourselves and they've gone, oh shit, but they haven't deleted it fast enough, and so then when I go and look at it, it's like, I can't see this comment anywhere.
That does happen. Yeah. This, I think the comment exists. I think it gets confused when the comment's in a thread.
Yeah, I think it does a bit.
It throws it. Anyway, that's by the by.
Yes.
So who's tuned in for some Harrowdeep? Or
Deep.
just general nonsense?
Chit. Well, we've got Mr. Marlowe here tonight with us. Anthony Boyd is in the house. John Grant has joined us, and Mr. Morph as well, as already mentioned. Anthony Tittenser and Ildefonso Lazor. Hello, one and all, and thank you for joining us. There is 17 people currently viewing us.
Ooh,
only
hello.
7 likes. If you're watching and enjoying some of the noises, give us a like. Give us a thumbs up.
Anthony Boyd says, "Aye, Harrowdeep."
Aye. So we are here to talk. mostly all things Harrowdeep, but we might get into some other stuff we've just been talking about as well. So
Yes.
we were going to go. I mean, a lot of people have already seen a lot of the box content. 'Cause obviously, GW have spoiled it all and stolen away. The bread and butter of us poor YouTubers.
It's just very hard for us to make a crust these days with Games Workshop just spoiling everything.
I mean, I'm quite crusty, but that's got nothing to do with the game. So.
Not many cards yet released. I reckon maybe Thursday there'll be I've got all the cards you can get in this box.
There was I'm sure they'll probably spoil every single card going in the whole box. They did release today, obviously, don't be afraid to take risks with Zandire's Truth Seekers in Harrowdeep article, which didn't really seem to tell us.
So it didn't really say very much, did it?
I did like the fact that there was a little bit near the end which said like, you might lose a fighter by the end of the game. Like, I mean, have you played this game before? You've got 4 fighters. One of them's a bird, gonna die. At least one or two of your storms, at least one of them's gonna. At least one of them extra's gonna die.
If they keep printing +1 strength upgrades, then we're gonna lose one by the end of the first round. Exactly. At the end of the game.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of your intention, isn't it? Is when you're up against these kind of guys, it's just try and take someone out as quickly as possible. Try and burn them down to really limit their activation options.
I also like the suggestion that you picked off the weaker fighters first, which is something that would never have occurred to me.
We've found, whilst playing this game, the best way to do well with these fighters is to roll dice. Awesome. Thanks for that. I did notice on one of the cards, it was a restricted card. It was restricted to basically everyone but the bird. So I don't know why they couldn't have just put, not the bird.
Is it like a weapon upgrade or something?
Yeah. No, it's called Unfaltering Stride, and it's basically duelist speed. After this fire's activation, push them a hex.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
But is
that in the new?
It's a new.
The new one.
Yeah, it's one of the new Stormcast upgrades, which is everyone but the bird. There's an upgrade. Sorry, there's a ploy in there, which basically says that the bow person, their next range 3+ attack. Gets +1 dice and grievous, which, as we know now, means I think if you roll a crit, it's +1 damage.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be many people asking online in a few weeks saying, if I roll a crit, but my opponent rolls a crit, does that crit still count for grievous?
Yeah. How many times in battle reports are we going to say, I've got the high ground, Anakin?
Yeah. Enough.
Something along those were, oh, hello there.
Yeah, oh, hello.
Every time you say grievous.
Yeah. And then the other one they showed off was an objective, which was Righteous Blow, which is basically scoring an end phase if there are more enemy fighters out of action than surviving enemy fighters. So basically, more than half the fighters have been killed. And that's 2 glory. That's all right.
2 glory.
2 glory for a card for an offensive warband that's mostly going to be looking to kill people anyway.
It's not bad. Obviously not very good at the beginning of the game, but yeah.
Not great when you compare it to a lot of the warbands we had in Season 4, though. A lot of them were like 4 fighters, so you got to kill 3 people for that.
Yeah.
It's trickier. Yeah. But we didn't see any stats on the fighters at all. All we know is they mentioned something about when one of your Stormcast's Eternals falls to the enemy, your opponent should be prepared for a sudden and shocking reprisal, where we know that if the main leader gets killed, then you can heal somebody else for 2 wounds. If one of the others dies, is that going to make me trigger an attack on one of the other fighters, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, sort of. Although they, as somebody pointed out, the people who are writing the copy may have never played the game, so it's possibly absolute bollocks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all of this could just be absolute trash unless it's an actual picture of a card. You just can't tell, can you?
No.
And the only other interesting thing from the photos from that article about those fighters, which we've seen before anyway, is the fact that they've changed the colour of the casting dice to red. Weirdly.
Yes, don't mind that. I suppose it's probably for differentiation, maybe, because obviously if you're rolling onto a blue board, the blue dice, They contrast a bit better. I don't know. I can't see any other reason really to change it.
Some person who's green-blue colourblind or something rolls the dice and goes, "Oh fuck, where is it? Where is it? Where's it gone?" Which of course is silly. That doesn't happen.
But I don't know. I can't see any other reason.
No, I can't really. If anything, I would have thought it would be better to keep it
blue
bluish.
paint at the dice factory.
Printed it all on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr.
And then
Marlowe.
the card backs. So there's a close up of the card backs.
There's freaking card backs. Now, someone did comment somewhere on one of our videos that said, "I don't see what the big deal is about the card backs. Each season, the colours change slightly anyway." It's like, yeah, but with slightly different coloured card backs, it's not like you can remember that the slightly bluish grey ones were from season 3 and the more greenish blue ones were from season 4 or whatever. And it was still not particularly obvious.
Yeah, I feel like if you wanted to cheat, you could do. Maybe with those card backs, but not necessarily. But with these, it's almost like you can't help yourself.
Exactly.
Cheat because the next card I'm going to draw is is a new one. So
I know I've only got so many new ones in my deck, and I know I've gone through so many of them, and I can see the next one's obviously a new one. So I think that's why a lot of people were a bit annoyed by it.
I think it's very odd. I mean, we've talked about it already, but I don't think there's somebody tell me there is, but there's all the major collectible card games. The card backs are the card backs, and they haven't changed them. I mean, I'm sure Magic the Gathering would love to change their card backs because they're crap, but they haven't. As far as I know, I'm pretty sure they're still the same as they ever were.
So Steve Keane has said something which I think has been echoing around a lot at the minute, which is that they've got to the point where the price increase is greater than the sunk cost fallacy / fear of missing out, and he says he thinks he's out because this season has been confirmed to be costing £65 this time round.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, that, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, it was what, £40 when it first came out?
Yeah, something like that, or even less.
Yeah,
£40. Well, less if you got it from a reseller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think £65 is going to be less if you get it from a reseller, because why would you buy it from GW when you can save, I don't know, at least £10 on that?
Yeah. And what scares me is if GW do these things like months in advance or whatever they're reputed to do, then this extra cost doesn't factor in the rising cost of card yet.
Does it though? I mean, I know that they prepare the boards and the boxes and that's all prepped like 12 to 18 months in advance. But surely pricing is something that comes out much closer to the time.
But I don't know when they have. I don't know how long they've been on the boat for. Right. So I don't know. I don't know if for these they had to pay a lot of money, because I don't know whether people know the board game industry is in a bit dire straits at the moment because the price of cards gone through the roof, paper's gone through the roof.
They quite literally aren't.
There's my two main hobbies are reading and playing games. I'm not sure. And just to repeat about my gas bill before the show started, I'm not sure it's going to be a fun winter. Most I can burn the books. I know it'd be cheaper to burn the gas.
Cheaper to burn the children.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that's factored into these price rises. Because if it's not, that means we're due another price rise. Further down the line.
I'd like to think that whatever prices we've got here, they're already reflective of the additional costs, and that we wouldn't. But you never know.
Well, I mean, things will go up because they always do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just hope it doesn't get hiked up again. I mean, in some ways, it's a really bad time for Underworld now, because you've not only got that making it less cost effective for them to make it, you've got I think the general doldrums around the hobby, well, not the hobby, around the Underworlds, because of the lack of opportunities to meet and play. It just feels like it's an unfortunate time for Underworlds, which is a shame, because I still think it's one of GW's better games, and I still love the models and a lot of the mechanics. So just going to have to see. I mean, if people like Steve are out, and Steve is an excellent player and is sort of quite a, has been all in as far as I know up until now. It seems a shame It seems a shame that the price is putting people off. But I understand it completely. I mean, everything's going up, isn't it? It's not just GW. That Asmodee are putting up their prices. I think we can expect Legion and Marvel to go up.
Yeah.
You can at least print those cards.
Yeah, and I guess Marvel, because I think one of our patrons points, I can't remember who it was, they said Marvel has been going up, but they just up the price, the boxes as the boxes for each individual hero sort of come out. So it's less obvious that way, because it's not like they keep releasing a new Marvel Crisis Protocol box every year, which then goes up in price. They're just releasing new heroes, and the heroes are steadily costing more and more.
Yeah.
Because
It's an interesting one.
Isn't it like God, what's his name? The big purple meanie. The big bad guy, Thanos. He costs like 60 odd quid on his own. So
yeah, he's a big model and he's got a real better than most. But yeah,
he's a big model, but that's 65 quid for a model versus 65 quid.
The Asmodee prices. I mean, people moan about GW prices, but with Star Wars Legion stuff, you really look at what you get for your money. It's paltry normally. This class table was good. It sort of touched on. I was sort of going to say in relation to the cost. She says, do you think there's any chance they'll switch from having universal cards released in every warband? It would be swell if you only had to buy the warband you actually wanted. I don't think so. Certainly for this season, I think that's kind of the model that they've gone for, and that is the kind of, they want you to buy everything so that you get the best cards. But I actually wonder if the price of card and stuff goes up and it becomes prohibitively expensive to make these things and harder to get people interested, I do actually wonder whether they'll have to change that, just because you want people to buy some product rather than no product, because if people are getting out and not buying anything when they might buy half of it, then you've got to decide whether it's worth it. I mean, I don't know, but it just seems that's generally for the whole industry really. If card is going to become like hen's teeth, then then maybe, like, for example, all the cards and what have you are available on Marvel Crisis Protocol, but obviously you need official ones for tournaments.
Yeah.
Maybe they do away with that stipulation and stop printing the cards in the boxes and let you use your own printed cards. I can't see that happening, but you kind of feel like actually if the costs keep going up, then maybe they have to, because people will stop playing. Anthony doesn't play Crisis Protocol, presumably because of the cost.
The alternative,
the value doesn't seem worth it.
The alternative would be maybe they should finally invest some money in technology and actually just write an app where you can buy the sets of cards in a digital format, and then you can build your decks, and then you can do the card drawing and all that kind of stuff via an app.
Yeah, quite interesting.
Something like that, because then when you have your hand, you'll be able to assign upgrades to fighters. It can store those on the iPad or whatever in front of you, so when you click on your fighter, it then brings up your modified stats because you've got various things. I don't know, whatever, but they could do something like that.
It would be quite cool. It would be an easier way to keep check of what was going on as well.
Yeah.
I mean, GW always been a little bit backward with technology. I feel like they've really missed the trick with their lack of integration with tech for all their games.
The whole card thing, and whether we're going to see universals in the Warbands box, does bring us on to a quite interesting point I did want to discuss, so we can talk about that now, which is what the fuck they're playing at with the cards. We know that there are 308 cards in this season. We know that the box contains 48 universals and 36 Grand Alliance specific cards, which we're assuming are part of that 308. If they are, once you take that the 64 into account from the 2 warbands in the box, the 48 universals and the 36 Grand Alliance cards, you're left with enough for 32 cards, 5 packs of 32 cards. So that's not even enough cards for another 6 warbands. I wonder what they're going to do with that.
Right, so they've announced there are some universals, haven't they? Yes. So basically, there's only enough cards left over for 5 warbands, is it? I think
5 warbands, assuming each warband only gets their 32 warband.
And
cards.
Is that 3 more or 5 more?
5 more.
5 more.
Yeah.
So a total of 7. So there should be 1 short.
Yeah, which is weird. It's like,
That's
I
really
could
weird.
understand if there were 4 more coming and we gone from 8 warbands to 6 warbands.
Yeah.
Because that kind of, I know it still makes no sense, but at least there would be like 2 removed, and that kind of felt like there'd be more sense to me. Just having 1 less doesn't make sense. We haven't seen on any of the Alliance specific cards, they've placed them such in their screenshots where you can't see if they have a numbering on them. So whether there are, number X of 308 in there in any of the photos, which is possibly very clever, or also very annoying.
Yes, do you think they might have different numbers? Because I wondered whether the Rivals deck packs were going to have different numbers.
But we know that's not the case, because we've
and
seen...
not be part of the season. No, that's what I wondered. I wonder whether
Yeah.
that's how they could do it, and not be part of the season, so that they wouldn't rotate out. So you could always pack the cards with whatever warband you were playing going forward. To
Now,
me.
one of the universal objectives called
Have
competent...
we just been donating some money, Pete? Sorry, I'm just
Have we? What?
by Spezia Poet.
Oh, we have. Well, then let's take a moment to say, Spezia Poet, you are awesome.
Thank you very much. And I think he's a real trendsetter, and everybody should follow his example.
I agree. And if you want us to say something specific out loud now, you type it in the comments below, and we will talk about that if you want us to. That's what...
Cash for questions.
That's what... Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be easily bought. Thank you. That's really nice.
$1.99. Peter tell you anything.
So we do know one of the universal cards, universal objectives, called Competent Conjurer, which is actually a really nice card.
Don't say that when you're drunk.
It's actually quite a nice card because it uses magic, but it doesn't get broken because of
Yes.
curse breakers.
Yes, it's quite a cleverly designed card, that one.
It's a much better designed card, and maybe
Yeah.
there's some hope for magic. But try not to get distracted by that. That card is that is number 190 of 308.
Yeah.
So we know that all of the faction specific cards come before the universals. So even if we say it's about 190-ish, divided by 32 faction cards, that's not even 6 full warbands. And we know we've got the 2 in the box. So
Sorry.
what the hell? That's that. So it's about 190. So it's going to be less than 190 because it's a C. Competent Conjurer is going to be something with A in there. So there's 190 cards, or 189 even. Divided by 32, that's 5.9. So that's not even 6 full warbands worth of warband cards before that card arrives. What the hell?
The numbering seems all over the place. I have to
Does
say, because
Does that mean we're not going to get... And we should have really done this as a video for lots of clicks. Now I think about it. But it's like, are GW only going to be putting 5 warbands into this season?
it seems odd.
It seems very odd, but the numbers don't lie, Robin.
No. I mean, a quick show of hands. Look, Spezia Poet says, you just always enjoy the content. One of the few quality Underworld channels.
But you are awesome, and I thank you for your monies.
He says, can he play cash for games? He'll pay $10 Aussie for a Blitzball game. That's
Always.
reasonable.
Always.
Aussie dollars. What's the conversion at the moment?
About a quid.
Not bad.
To be honest, we're going to play at some point.
So just a quick show of hands, flippers, whatever, in the comments. Would you rather have fewer cards or fewer warbands? We asked that question the question was asked on our Patreon Discord. Would you be sorry if there were only 5 warbands this season?
How are they going to show that in a hand?
Well, they can. I don't know. I suppose the question is: would you rather there were only 5? Would you rather less warbands? Give us a thumbs up if you'd rather less warbands.
Sure. So I'm just all over that. Show of hands. Who wants A and who wants B?
Give us a show of hands. Yeah. You could make an A saying, just put A and B.
You could,
easy enough, isn't it?
But you didn't start your things with A and B. That's
well, I'm off. I'm going to refuse. I'm going to Piers Morgan this. You could, just.
So, I mean, I hadn't really thought about that with that objective card until I've spotted that, but I'm even more intrigued now as to what the hell they're doing.
You get stroppy, you get hot.
Are you saying I'm making you get hot under the collar? Do I make you randy?
Shit, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Oh, you tease. Don't threaten me with a good time. So, I'm really interested what's going on now. Are there only going to be 5 warbands this season? Or, I mean, somebody did mention, um, are some of the packs going to come out with their own numbering system, which would be confusing as shit, and at the same time, still wouldn't make sense really because the warbands cards for the first 2 warbands are included in that 308.
Madness.
The more I
What
think about
about
this,
updated old warbands?
don't do that to me. But it doesn't make any sense to me. The more I think about it, the less sense it all makes. Less than 6 warbands worth of warband specific cards fit into the cards, the 308 we have.
We could do a whole numerology conspiracy theory video about it.
I'm really confused. What are they going to do, Robin?
No idea. I didn't even begin to understand it. I'm so far. I'm not even confused because I'm just a village idiot, really. I don't even know what I don't know.
Now, miscast tables say that maybe the Grand Alliance cards are included in rival format have their own range of cards. They might do. Maybe it's because they. But still, even aside from that, we still don't have 5 warbands worth of cards in the first 190.
VJ's giving us 10 Aussie dollars to play Blitzball.
Bless you.
That's very sweet of you, VJ. I have to say it's going to have to be the game after next because we do have, hopefully, a limited time.
But it will be. But it will be.
If it doesn't arrive, we'll play Blitzball. If it doesn't arrive, maybe it's on next week.
I'll tell you the warband. I'll tell you the teams we've got, and you can pick the teams as well, and who plays which team. You can have it all your way. It's like BK.
Updated pack for older warbands. Sounds great. That's Betsy a Poet. Yeah, that'd be quite cool, I think. I'm not think it'll happen, but it would be cool. Ildefonte says that one Spoil Grand Alliance card had the number 156 out of 308. So are they coming first? So that's 4 or 190. Which is just mad.
Which one was that one, Ildefonte? Which one was that? Was that an objective one?
156.
Yeah, I mean, was it an objective? I guess.
I know, you know.
So there might be warband specific cards. Then there might be the Grand Alliance specific cards because they always do objectives, ploys, upgrades, and then we have the universal ones afterwards. But if that one's at 156, that cuts the number of warband specific cards down even more. I'm very confused, Robin.
Yeah, I think maybe they've changed their convention, or they've changed the backs. So maybe they might have changed the warband name convention. Maybe they're not even alphabetical anymore. Maybe they're just randomly allotted numbers.
Just fuck it. Just chuck numbers all over. It's bollocks. They can. This will really fucking screw with their heads.
The one with Grashrak on art. Yeah, well, I have to look through.
Oh, the one where if he dies, he can curse an objective. That one. Didn't realise that was an objective. I didn't realise that was a Grand Alliance one. And I didn't see that number. I need to pop out quickly. I will be back in 5 minutes.
What?
Yes. Keep them going, Robin. I'll be back in a minute.
That's totally unscripted. I'm completely not prepared for that. And I think it's rude. Well, what am I going to say? I could tell you about my week. So Pete's totally thrown me in the deep end here, and I was hoping he would keep to do the heavy lifting today because I don't know, I'm still struggling to summon up enthusiasm for Harrowdeep. I think maybe when I've got it in my hands, then I'll feel more excited about it. But at the moment, I just feel like there's all this different stuff. There's all the card numbers to worry about. There's the new gloom tokens, and how's the airbrush going? Somebody's asked. I'm learning. I guess these like all new skills. It takes a bit of practice. I have spoiled a Marvel Crisis Protocol cast though. That'll be going in the Dettol. I did say that maybe you hadn't enjoyed it. I said that at the beginning. But I've got my priming's a lot more smooth now. I did a bit of Zenithal highlighting with it, so it's getting better. It's getting better. Oh, VJ, you're a scholar among men. Thank you very much. And we will definitely play Blitzball as soon as we can, even if we have to make John Grant play it because he's coming I realised that he's coming the week after next. So you still on, John? You looking forward to coming? Well, you might have to play Blitz Bowl, but it's a brilliant game, so you'll be more than happy to do that. GW promised a limited cards. Also, GW better make another Stormcast ban. Yeah, we can't have enough Stormcast warbands in the books. I think it was inevitable with Dominion coming out this season. It was inevitable we were going to get Stormcast versus Crawl Boys. Yeah, but it seems mad. Well, not mad. It just seems doesn't seem to be any way we can have more than say 5 warbands with the card numbering. If it stays as traditional, I did wonder, but this doesn't solve the problem, whether they were going to be specific packs of cards that they wouldn't actually have as part of the Harrowdeep season, so they never cycled out. So you would always be able to put the decks that they made as rivals decks with whatever warband you wanted. The only problem with that is, of course, you would then gradually over the years, your pool of cards would grow without being cycled out. So that would be a reason not to do that. I was hoping that the rival system would be a bit more sort of, I'm sure the word is kind of plug and play, rather than just be like, oh, you can only use your faction-specific cards. I was hoping it might be something like, plug this objective holding deck into it, or plug this aggro deck, or flex deck, or control deck, and I was hoping there might be like a sort of selected set of cards you would be able to use. But that doesn't seem to be where it's going. I'm hoping that whatever they do have, other beyond the faction decks, are better than the Silent Menace deck. So we've got some questions here. You did get the hang of this 2-stage trick on the airbrush. I kind of did, VJ. Again, I by the time, often away with these things, by the time I'd more or less finished, I was in control of it. So it's getting better. I think I probably just need to bring some paper out, actually, rather than worry about putting on miniatures. I probably need to bring some paper out and just spray onto the paper and just watch what it does. I was spraying the bottom of my spray booth by the end, just to try and work it out. I still feel like the lines are just over there. That's why I keep looking off camera. I still feel like my lines are a bit sort of thick and splodgy, so I'm still not that controlled. But I think, like all of these things, they take a bit of time, and it's not really my forte, this kind of learning, this kind of creative stuff. So I think it'll take me a little bit of time. I need to sit down actually and watch some more videos. As often as the way, it's a choice between finding time to sit and watch a video about how to airbrush, or actually go and airbrush. And so I'm more of a doer than a watcher. So I kind of cracked on and messed it up. So, but no, it is better today. Today was better than I've only had 3 goes, and today was better than the second. Third go was better than the second go. That's what you can really ask for, isn't it? That game, you still need to clan Skyrim Warband. Yeah, I really hope we see some Skaven. We've got to see something shadowy, so probably the Shadow Elves. But I don't know. I wouldn't know what else the game is missing. Some demons. I haven't got any demons in it yet. What Pete's doing? Maybe this is like a surprise. It's going to appear over here. It should probably take him longer than 5 minutes to get here. So what else do people think about Harrowdeep? I'm going to have a quick look at the article. I'm dying on my feet here. The cards. I struggle to kind of pass the information of the cards until they're in my hands. But they've got some nice ones. The Banish in the Dark objective, score this in phase if one or more friendly fighters made one or more charge actions in the preceding phase, and one or more of those fighters are adjacent to no enemy fighters. Kind of interesting card. Couple of conditions, possibly doable, and then especially as they have that extra push objective to help them with that. But sort of interesting, dual card as well. So dual cards are still around. I guess we're not really going to see a shift in that. Wouldn't expect to. Somewhere there's an assassin card, isn't there? Where is that? Oh, it's the elimination order. So something assassin's attack action that takes the target out of an action. So it's a surge hybrid. Score this immediately after a friendly action. This is assassin's attack action that takes the target out of action. So and probably a friendly fighter's attack action takes a leader out of action, or if no other enemy fighters are out of action. So yeah, we have another keyword there, which is assassin, which we haven't seen yet. I'm not quite sure the semantic difference between a hunter and an assassin. Hunters tend to be less clandestine than assassins, I suppose. But there's another keyword joining. Oh, are you here, Pete?
I am back. Hello, hello.
He's back.
I'm back and I'm bad. What did I miss? What did you talk about?
Airbrushes, more for saying, well, I was saying I was going to get some paper to do it on, because that's really what I need to do to learn how to actually get some decent lines and what have you. Yeah. So I should be doing that. I need to check out Andy, and a bunch of other YouTubers. I somebody sent me a list of good ones, and I just haven't sat down and done it. And GW haven't mentioned the dotted hexes yet. I wonder what they are. Yeah, I think they're going to be gloom related.
That one's driving me nuts still, that they haven't mentioned what the hell those are. Right.
And what do you think of the new board layouts? I barely looked at them. My main thought that I was slightly irritated that when they showed them in the unboxing article, they didn't show all of both of them.
Yeah. Although
it's like, I know I'm not that interested in board layout, but it's pretty fundamental to the people who play a lot, and they haven't shown them.
I mean, they showed the two they showed all of. The starting hexes appear to be quite spaced out. On the one's got 3 lethal hexes, but the starting hexes, it's got about 4 on edges, which is quite. I guess that gives you quite a lot of flexibility if you're offensive, so it doesn't matter which way around it's placed. You can probably get at somebody for the most way.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of 3 lethal hexes on a board, I have to say.
Yeah. No, there's the.
Of course, you can't place an extra one anymore.
No, that's true. Well, as far as we're aware, it doesn't look like you can, based on the promo shots.
But 3 lethal hexes is. I don't know. I quite like lethal hexes, but at the same time, I really don't.
I was going to say, you literally said I don't like the idea of them, but I like them. I don't like them. The other one that has the 2 dotted hex ones, the starting hexes are all a bit more central on them, sort of squashed out widthways, or lengthways rather, narrow ways.
Yeah. It's interesting that there are 4 start hexes adjacent to whatever those hexes do.
Yeah. Of the other 2, the only thing I really noticed was that the area that's blocked on both the boards are both hiding 2 starting hexes each, which means there's a bit more of a high concentration towards sort of that side on those ones. But that's about all I could see, really.
Where I'm looking at it, one of them's got blocked hexes.
No, I mean they're blocked, as in they're covered by the overlaid board.
Oh, it's C. I'm sorry, I understand.
So we know that there are within the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so hexes that we can't see. 2 of them are starting hexes in both cases.
That's very true. Yeah, that's interesting.
What that actually means is
looking at these ones with the shadowy bits in them. I don't know what to call them really. It's a definite kind of artwork. It's kind of like fallen shards or something like that, or floating shards. We're not actually in the water, are we? We're just in the cave system under the water. So they almost look like they're protected in some way, and they've got that kind of prism thing in the middle. I just don't know what that is.
Yeah, and I wondered if it was like a teleporting hex. If you move to one, you can then come out the other, or something like that.
Interesting, and it would certainly, if your opponent chooses that board, you'd be like, well, do I want to put a similar board down? Yeah. I assume it's the only one. I assume it's the only one with them as well, which is odd. I thought that there would be another board with them on, but there doesn't, unless they're underneath the bits that we can't see.
But there's only going to be one, unless they're really close, like they are on that board. But yeah, there's. What do those dotted hexes mean? They're so random.
Because if you can teleport between them, those 2 is pretty boring. There isn't really any need. I can't see we're in situations where you'd want to teleport.
I guess a slow fighter, a 3-move warband or something.
Stage your movement. But yeah, but if somebody put them on, if somebody else played that board, and suddenly you'd be like, oh hello, if you could teleport between them.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to be sort of, you can't shoot through them, but you can move through them.
But that would make them possibly overpowered in certain situations for certain warbands, to have 2 of them on one board and none on any of the others.
Yeah. So it seems odd. I don't know.
Miss Castable says the one with the dotted hexes looks kind of like 2 stones that if exploded, they do. They look like the stone is shattering out from it. And he said there are some stones that look like moulds with figures on the edges. Yeah, it's like, but what do they mean? I mean, if the boards were just the artwork showing these 2 sort of these 2 sets of explosions emanating from a point, that would just be artwork for the sake of it. But these dotted lines mean something.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe they mean you can't put things in those hexes. Maybe the dotted lines mean you can't, put objectives in there or something. But you can move through them.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Lanzo says they don't seem like the gloomy hexes mentioned in another preview. No, I think the gloom hexes are basically, those are what your objectives are, and everything starts objective side down in the game, and then you can flip one over at the end of each activation, which again seems really odd to me. It feels like it's going to spell the end for objective based decks, but who knows.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. I mean, I don't think it will. I have faith in GW that they won't completely kibosh objective holding play, but at the moment, I can't conceptualise how it's not going to.
Yeah, I mean, Primacy did a good job of trying to lean into offensive play without completely destroying objective games, in that it gave you a small reward for offense, but then they also released a lot of cards that then also played into that sort of primacy shenanigans. But this just seems
we haven't played it a massive amount, but that seemed to work for me in the main. I think there may be a few instances where it perhaps didn't, but it seemed to work pretty well. And like everybody could tinker with it, but also it did obviously favour aggro, and it gave them a boost that they needed without being too overpowered.
Yeah. But this just, I mean, to say, oh look, there's going to be 0 objectives on the board turn 1. I mean, okay, so you can't score primacy, you can't, unless you're really going to start to invest in objective flipping meta, which there isn't a lot of in Chasm. That it seems like you've got even less reason to want to go for objective play.
Yeah.
So just a quick stop there, just to say we have 31 of you all watching tonight, 34 in fact. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, this random chat. We do want to hear what everybody's thinking and what questions they are asking themselves right now with regards to Underworld's Harrowdeep. Let us know. Maybe we've got some answers. We probably don't, but maybe they'll help us, some more reasons to scratch our heads. And of course, if you are enjoying this natter, give us a thumbs up either now or if you're watching this back later on. I don't know about you, Robin. I'm still pondering what the hell's going on with these card numbers and how many warbands we're even going to see in this season. I'm bamboozled.
The weird thing is, we're sitting there thinking, are they going to play less than? Are they going to be less than 8? But actually, in a lot of seasons, there's been 10, or at least 2 seasons, there's been 10, because they've released the extra warbands. And now we're considering that there's going to be less. It just seems, it seems bonkers to me. But I don't know.
Unless you're going to have the 2 starter warbands, the Grand Alliance cards, and then the Universal cards, and any new warbands that come out won't be part of that 308.
Maybe.
But then it would seem really weird to put the first 2 warbands worth of cards in that 308.
It doesn't seem likely.
I can't think of any any. I just can't think of any logic around that. Even if you ignore when the objectives start, we already are kind of in a position where we're sitting there going, well, there were only enough for about 5 warbands anyway at 32 cards a piece, but now we know that that's not even applicable.
Yeah, I was just having a little look at the Starblood Stalkers objectives, just because it occurred to me that they have some objective flipping technology type stuff, and I wondered how that sat with their objectives, bearing in mind there aren't any on the board to start off with. There isn't anything too much, actually. They have got like astrometrics alignment, score this immediately after you flip a feature token in enemy territory. Well, depending on how the mechanic works for flipping gloom tokens or whatever it is, that's going to be really easy to score.
Horned Rat Mini says 7 warbands in total according to the number of cards in this season. Well, I don't know if you tuned in earlier, but we've debunked that theory, because there's a card.
I thought we hadn't. I thought we said 2 + 5.
No, that was before we then noticed that the objective card that's universal starts at 190. And all of the warband cards come in before that 190 mark, and 190, 32 doesn't go into that many times.
No, I'm out.
It's 5.9 or something like that. So, I mean, that's only 5 warbands worth of warband specific cards before you get to that. And that 190th card begins with a C. So there's going to be some more before that. And we know that there is the Grand Alliance set of cards that's in the I think it's 160 or something like that.
Could there be some shenanigans with the Grand Alliance cards, whereby you get less faction cards, but you have to make them up with Grand Alliance cards?
Could be, but then I don't know, what's the highest numbered warband specific card we've seen? Let's see what it says on there. So we know on the Zandire's cards we've got a 7, we've got a 15, and we've got a 32. So we do have 32 warband specific cards.
We do have at least 32 cards, so
which fits back into the sort of.
I mean, I think there needs to be 32. I was just thinking of ways in which they might have got around it, because I mean, obviously they have said that Rivals is just use your faction deck.
Yeah.
They haven't said just use your faction deck, but make sure you've got some of the existing Grand Alliance cards. So I think it is. And Wolfman just asked, reduce warband specific cards. Didn't seem like it, does it?
It doesn't seem that way, at least and it wouldn't make sense to have the 2 warbands in the box having 32 cards, and then for them to bring out other warbands and go, oh yeah, these have only got 10 and you've got to fill up the rest with faction ones. It just, my brain is boggled. So Mr. Morph says, my thoughts on how much I want a shooty Clan Sky warband this season was mentioned briefly while I was away. I would love that, but I suspect the most we're probably going to get is maybe an Eshin warband, because we have this assassin keyword. That's probably at most what we'll get. That will be sad.
Yeah. I'm just doing maths here.
What maths have you come up with?
No, nothing. So I'm just. It's like when I used to do logic problems with my dad, and they go, "Oh, it's this," and I'd be like, "What?"
Like, where? How did you even get to the number?
Yeah.
And then they'd run it through it slowly with you, and you'd be like, "No, you lost me. I haven't got a Wolfman Guess says there's always the option they've just ballsed up the numbering again. I mean, there's always a chance of that, I guess. But the way their cards are mentioned, I don't get it. Phalanx 167 says Malarian Elves. I can't remember what they were called. Umbraneth.
Umbraneth, yeah, I think.
I'm hoping to see them.
Is that an official name or elite name?
I thought an elite name.
Leaked, sorry.
I'm sure we saw it somewhere when it was to do with that Warcry expansion that came out. They had the blokes with the flamey weapons and then the Umbraneth or something like that. But
it does say in the unboxing thing, both warbands come with a full deck of 12 objective cards, 10 gambit cards, and 10 upgrade cards. It does say that.
Yeah, so it does make sense for other warbands to not. Maybe the other warbands don't have their numbering as part of that 308.
Seems mad, doesn't it?
It does seem a bit weird if they did it that way. I do hope we will see Umbraneth in there anyway. Again, because of Assassins and Dark Elves have always been a bit well, actually, technically, I guess the Umbraneth aren't Dark Elves, but they kind of are Shadow Elves, and so they'll be up for some assassinatings. So I'm hoping we'll see some warbands that will have maybe a bit more sneakiness, because we've got the cruel boys. They're meant to be sort of sneaky orcs, and then I reckon we'll see some clannish in for some assassins there, some Umbraneth, and then after that my mind goes blank. Maybe we'll see some more the Blade Coven type warband, you know, the sisters of, well, I can't remember what they're called now, but anyway, they, you know, because they're kind of dark elf, sneaky, stabby, but we've already had some of them, so I'm lost.
Umbraneth, opposite of Lumineth. Yes.
And I am still bamboozled on those card numbers. That's going to bug me all night.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I mean, it's like this. The simplest thing is 7 times 32 plus the cards mentioned in the box, which would mean there's only 7 warbands and no more universal cards.
Yeah.
Or Grand Alliance cards, which would be nuts.
But given we know that there are universal cards and those other ones, we're immediately even more stumped.
Lazarus says tidal hexes, if you move or get pushed into one, you have to scatter away. But it's not in the water. This is maybe it's leaking. Maybe the ceiling's leaking in those places. I don't know. Who knows? I am really worried that GW are going to mix their metaphors in an artistic sense. And it's going to be under the water, but not under the water, except when it is under the water.
A bit like those stupid fish elves.
It's not going to be consistent.
I kind of feel like those fish elves when they came up with them, and they came up with all those snazzy models of people riding turtles and stuff, and then someone sort of came along into the design studio one day, months down the line, and said, "But no one else is in the water." Fuck. Magic makes them float like they're in the water, but they're not. Fine, I guess. Fuck it, whatever.
There are rumours of Ogre Man-Eaters giving a rather detailed room rendering recalling pirate-style Man-Eater.
Where is that then? I always like to read up on these kind of rumour things.
Yeah. Perhaps they only have warband specific cards in the warband packs, maybe some Grand Alliance. I wonder if they will provide the entire universal card for in the base box. That seems likely to me, but there are still too many cards.
What was that one? Only have warband specific cards in the warband packs. Yeah, that still doesn't give us more than 5 warbands worth before we hit the universals or the Grand Alliance cards.
But maybe GW have thought, well, we're not gonna pack all the universal cards in the boxes, and therefore we need less warbands because we can't cajole people to buy all of them, and they're not going to buy all of them if there's 8 and they're all 40 quid or however much they are. So let's make less and then just give them what they need to play them.
But then,
don't think that's going to happen. But that could possibly.
But so we would only end up with 5 warbands, three separate ones coming out after the game. You mean?
Mm.
And they would just have the 32 warband specific cards.
And you might feel more inclined to buy them and spend the same amount of money as you would die anyway.
I mean, I can see GW taking that idea and going, I see what you're saying, but what if we did 8 warbands?
And put all the universal cards across them.
Yeah, because that's GW.
I don't really think that that's what they're going to do. But.
No, just bamboos me. I'm going to try and not think about it because it's just driving me mad.
Mixed Daughters of Cain and Idneth would be cool.
They haven't done many mixed warbands, faction mixes like that.
Maybe it'd be a Daughters of Cain warband with a fish, like a dog. I think it's a fish.
Dogfish.
Dogfish, I like it.
So I was just looking at the cards. I mean, the cards again, looking at the artwork, just underline even more the fact that the old warbands are still usable, in that we've got, you know, we can see the Daughters of Cain and we can see the Tzeentch on one card, we can see the Chosen Axes of all of the warbands you might see alongside the Wormspell on another card.
Isn't that Gerzag?
Oddly a card about moving. I think that might be Gerzag in that last one. That's not Morgok, so Gerzag in another one. It's like
and I admire their tenacity in keeping a hold of these old warbands, but as we've stated a number of times before, I would like to see a soft reset at this point, and I don't really want to see those warbands in the game anymore. Even though they have a fondness. I have a fondness for them in my heart. I just feel like, I don't know. To me, the game needs to evolve beyond that. And I know people have invested time and money in them, but that's kind of how these games go, isn't it? The money that you've invested, the time you've invested in collecting them, whether they're miniatures or not, go by the wayside.
Yeah, there's always going to be that.
Yeah, I mean, and it feels like, again, I mean, I don't know, I've got no experience in either, but it feels like things like the card backs and then not streamlining the available content makes me feel like GW are just dabbling in something they don't really fully
just mucking around,
or doing what GW normally do, which is this is how we're doing it. This is how we're doing it, and it doesn't matter. We're a bit like Tom Baker in Blackadder, the sailing one. It's just like, well, I don't care. That's how I do it.
You have a woman's arms.
Exactly. Yeah.
The other interesting thing is the promo shop, which I think people have already also slagged off about how little there is. Oh no, that might be the other Space Marine box. But I mean, there's the promo shop itself shows 2 sets of card stock. It's just a copy and paste of the same card stock, which is a little bit. It's like, really, you couldn't even get an image of the other side of the card stock to show us because it looks like, and again we mentioned this before, but it looks like the wound tokens don't have a reverse side with other stuff on them.
With other tokens, but yeah, there are tokens, aren't there? Haven't we seen something with tokens?
I'm sure we saw something, yeah.
Just like, yeah.
Again, what's going on with that? One thing
I like the idea of pirate theme mixed faction warband. That'd be cool.
One thing that we did notice before we started, but then haven't commented on yet either, is the fact that the raised tokens are in the box from Arena Mortis.
Oh yes, you were just talking about the copy and paste.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really frustrates me that in the unboxing article that they've literally just copied and pasted the board. So look, you get these 2 boards.
Yeah.
But that's by the by. But yes, there are. So therefore, in this picture, there are 6 race tokens. Whether there are actually there are at least 3 race tokens in the box. Whether they're whether it's all duplicated.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what those raise tokens for. I mean, we know they're going to be used for when you raise things, obviously, but I'm keen to find out what.
Maybe it's because it's underwater. So you're going to raise them from the seabed.
Oh God. What was it? Bruce, I like Bruce's comment. He's heard that the game is set underwater. Players must hold their breath when they play. It keeps playtime below 5 minutes. Yeah.
Well, we'd have to give up if we had to do that.
I don't think we'd get past setup.
We wouldn't be able to talk when we were playing. Yeah, I don't know what the race tokens would be. I mean, possibly they could be generic other tokens. It could be another thing.
It would be a bit rubbish if they put tokens in there that are only usable.
Well, that's partly why I said it. Because it would be a bit rubbish, made it even more likely to happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It would be a bit rubbish to have these tokens. What do I use these? Oh, you use these if you can play this other version of this game, which no one's going to do.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. All in all, the unboxing article feels like a lot of the other articles that GW do when they write Underworlds articles, in that they're a bit half-arsed, and they they feel like they're written by someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at the moment we and the community are in a bit of a danger of sliding into negativity about Warhammer and Games Workshop and Warcom, and I know obviously there's a lot of negativity out there. And I just wonder where it's the shine that's come off over the years. Because when the Warcom website started, I thought it was really good, and I really liked reading the stuff, and it was interesting. But now I feel more and more it's just marketing stuff, and maybe that's just because I've become jaded to it, because it's been around for 4 or 5 years now, probably.
I think their articles have got worse.
But I wonder whether because they're trying to do more, they've employed more people, and they've perhaps employed people from outside of the hobby.
It's ironic because they could give somebody like us or Aman or someone like that a box and say, write an article for us, and we would gladly write something for free that would be like 10 times better than the stuff they've done.
Well, I'd rather be paid.
Well, yeah.
If anybody's listening.
But yeah, aside from the articles from, Brain has decided to lose the words for me. But aside from the articles that have been written from Dave Sanders himself, obviously because he has an inside track on some of this.
Because he designed it.
Yeah, obviously you couldn't outsource that aspect of it, but you could easily give the box to somebody and say, right, so
Ant-Man has written, hasn't he? And I think one or two other people have written too.
Yeah.
But they haven't for a long time. They haven't for the whole of lockdown. There hasn't been. I can't remember what it was called. There hasn't been another article.
No.
Maybe they found they don't work or people don't read them. I don't know, because I have written a couple, and the first one got published. I don't know, but the second one I wrote it, and they gave me some stuff in order to write it, but they never published it. So whether they decided that it's better to use professionals,
in-house people or something,
or these people who they've paid to
although to be honest, it doesn't seem like paying people to write these things actually improves them in any way.
No, but maybe it makes it a bit more corporate. Maybe I said some things in my article that wasn't corporate.
There is probably a
aligned.
Specific language.
I did get asked to take, with my first one I wrote, I did get asked to take something out. I wrote...
Did you write, GW might be a bit shit on the old price, but...
Well, I didn't quite say that, but I was talking about reasons I was asked about reasons to play Warhammer, or to get into Warhammer with your kids. And I said it helped them, it would teach them how to save money and budget and work out what they want and save up for it. And they asked me to remove it because they don't like to tie price into... they don't want, they get what they actually said. They didn't quite say it like this, but they said they get slammed enough on the price anyway without bringing it up and why the kids pages.
I can see the reasoning behind that if they mention anything.
I can totally see their reasoning, but it's sort of interesting. But I guess it's easier than if they're paying somebody, they can just tell them what to do. Whereas if they're asking somebody, they can only ask nicely and then decide whether or not to use it.
Yeah, I just feel like, because there was a bit near the end of the article where it just says dice. You can't play without those. And then it puts some funny geek words in, like click clack math rocks. Very funny. And then it just tells you what we already all knew. Anybody who has bought a previous edition would know that you have 5 attack dice, 3 defense dice, and 3 magic dice. Did you even need to put that in there? Could have just said, it comes with the same dice as every other season. So, yeah. I agree with you. I don't know how much of it is just us feeling... how much of it is unwarranted negativity, how much of it is valid in this situation.
I think it's a sign of the times. I think there's quite a lot to moan about at the moment.
Yeah. Not just from GW, but everybody, I think.
And so we look to our hobbies as being a thing that we enjoy, and if we're being squeezed on how it isn't how we like it, then we moan about it, because it's better to moan about our hobbies, I think, than moan about real things. I think, obviously, it's perceived that GW are on a high. They have been doing really well in the last 18 months, and so I think it feels like having posted record profits and all that kind of stuff for prices to keep going up and boxes to have less in them and all that kind of stuff. Although this is the biggest ever Undermost core box.
I think we know now officially that it's bigger because it's got an extra 70 cards in, or 60 cards in.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I feel it's just, maybe that's why. Yeah, I don't know, and people feed off negativity as well, don't they?
If you ask certain channels online, GW are done for now because their price has dropped over the last few months. So they'll be gone. Yeah, the share price has dropped. So
Yeah, it was very. I don't know if anybody's seen that video. It was very simplistic, but it was quite interesting. But it's. I think not surprising the share price has dropped.
I think part of the problem with that kind of yeah, and I think part of the problem is people see that who are involved in the hobby and immediately think that the drop in the stock price is related to the hobby, whereas a lot of the time, the chances are that the stock price drops have nothing to do with their day-to-day business. and are more in line with other factors. I mean, like you say, GW have been going up and up and up and up. Sooner or later, there's going to be a correction. And they've actually only dropped to what their March numbers were like. So it's not like they've lost.
And also, I mean, everything in the UK has gone down in the last few weeks. So, you know, and also there's a big supply crisis and a cardboard shortage. So it's not surprising.
Exactly.
GW stock's gone down.
Exactly. You look at their price now from what it was 2 years ago, it's still like over double. So I don't think they're in a danger of suddenly folding because people don't like them overcharging a little bit more on one of their boxes. And on that note, John Grant did ask how much is it going to cost. From GW, it's going to be 65 quid. So obviously if you go to somebody like Willing Games or the Outpost or something like that, you'll probably get it for, I'm guessing, about 50 or somewhere in that region.
What's this Morph said? My favourite GW rumour is that they don't care about minis or their fans anymore, and they're just after a Disney buyout. Brilliant.
I mean, maybe that's what they're after.
Brilliant. I
personally, I don't think that GW would want to sell their IP. I think they're onto a winner themselves. They've got plenty of money to make out of their IP just yet, and lots of things they're doing, like the Bandai figures, and they're doing Warhammer TV. I'm sure that they're working on. Isn't there going to be something on Netflix as well? So
it's going to be eyes and horns, and going to Netflix.
And all that kind of stuff's just going to drive their general. I mean,
it's an interesting one. This thing about caring about their fans. I don't think there are many big corporations that really care that much about their customers, fans. They just, as long as they keep buying. It's not obviously not always true, but bottom line, a public listed company.
They are behoved only to their shareholders.
They obviously make stuff that we like, and we like it, and that's why we're fans. But that doesn't mean that they particularly we're only fans because they make stuff we like.
Exactly. It's like, why should GW care any more about their buyers than McDonald's or Nike or anything like that? It's just because people have this emotional connection with their product, and they're like, oh, I love this thing, therefore they must love me. But now they're charging more, so they can't love me. Why do they hate me? Why are they so evil? It's not quite that simple.
And GW's been overpriced forever.
They've been overpriced since the 80s. I mean, fuck me, they're. So, this has never been a cheap hobby. Yeah, it's getting more expensive, especially with the cries of 65 quid for a box. But I mean, we were talking earlier about how what's his name for Lego for Marvel Crisis Protocol is going to cost 65 quid for a model, whereas at least you're getting a whole game for 65 quid here. It's hard to argue that expensive luxury products are overpriced.
Yes. Speaking of which, anybody seen the? I might post a link in the description. There's a brilliant spoof Kickstarter for. Well, I'll post it. I'll post the link. It's very amusing.
Mr. Morph says there are
Go on, Pete.
Mr. Morph says there are high ups in GW, Jervis, etc. They've been here for so long that there must at least be some love for the community. I think he retired. Because GW's been going for like 40 years now, so I think a lot of the people who were in it when it started, where there was a real, grassroots sort of setup, I think a lot of those people have left because they've retired or they've just moved on. I don't think there's many people who've been in that company for a long period of time. And I think there might be. I do think there are people within GW that do care about their community. Mostly they're the community team, and then they get paid for doing that. But they know that they have to keep enough fans on side to keep buying stuff, because if they push their luck too far, people won't buy it. But it's
definitely a juggling act.
Yeah,
but I think their service versus business balance is pretty good. I think I agree with you there more. But I think obviously the reason they do that is to keep the business running.
Yeah.
So I posted in the link in the comments a link to a Kickstarter which is well worth a look, and it's got some very funny things in it. So do check it out. And it kind of touches on this and the kind of whole slight absurdity, I think, of the board game industry and gaming and hobby and the things we spend money on.
Yeah. I certainly don't think that there is a group of people in GW sitting in a boardroom trying to work out the best way to make their customers feel robbed. But they are obviously in there trying to work out how to get their customers to give them as much money as possible. And you'd be incredibly naive to think otherwise, because they are a public listed company. So at the end of the day, their goal is to make money. I think just because they make a product that people enjoy, the people who enjoy that have rightly or wrongly assumed that the company cares about them because they made a product that they care about. Whereas, if it were Apple or Domino's Pizza or anything, you wouldn't have the same level of expectation there, would you?
No, Coke didn't really care whether you had diabetes or not.
Exactly.
For quite a long time, until they were called out on it. Which is, so that isn't to say that if you think, or anybody thinks, that GW, they don't like their business practices. I know I've been watching a bit of Discourse. I can't remember what she's called, but Discourse something or other. And she has some valid points, I think. I don't particularly find the style appealing. It's a bit abrasive after 2 videos, but she has some interesting points around the use of fear of missing out and stuff like that.
But I mean, every company does that.
Yeah, well, they do, but it doesn't make it right.
No,
and I think GW are bad for it. And I think particularly, and what I think is an interesting point she does make, is that I think a lot of GW fans are somewhere on the spectrum who have who had trouble dealing with that FOMO more than perhaps people who are sort of into more mainstream hobbies. I think that is an issue that GW also have a look at themselves. And sort of, this whole exploiting the collector in us, I don't think is particularly attractive. But I mean, they aren't the only people who do that. But
say any company listed in the FTSE 100 does that. So, Apple especially, Amazon, some companies like Amazon, they've tapped in something even more base than people who might have that might not be neurotypical. They've tapped into people's inherent fucking laziness, which everybody has. Whatever else you might say about people, we're all really fucking lazy, and Amazon have latched onto that one and done what they've done. So yeah, I agree though. I do think that Discourse has some valid points, but when it's 50 videos in a row of GW are evil,
and that's
just shut up.
I agree. I think it's. I read an article that she'd been interviewed by somebody. That was more palatable because it was a bit more.
Steady.
Steady, and it didn't have the scrolling thing in the background either, which does my head in. But it's okay to have valid points, but I think yes, when you're entitling videos like "Is it the end of GW?" then I think you probably jumping the shark a little bit. And just doing it for clicks, which we had again talking about on Discord today. Not particularly about her, but just about clickbait and what have you.
Yeah.
But I think we should try, and will try, to be more positive about the hobby, even if that means moving away from GW stuff and therefore being positive. Just doing the things that we enjoy rather than getting stuck on things we don't enjoy. Talking about, we don't enjoy this.
Yeah, Seth has definitely hit on something there as well, which is like, isn't she making money in a similar way to GW? She knows that there are people out there, that are going to click the videos because she's just basically posting a headline that says GW bad.
Yeah.
And so
the irony was lost to me. She said something at one point. I think it was she went on about something, and then said, "You can sign up to my Patreon and get early access." That was it. To be fair, she did acknowledge it, but she spent the whole video talking about GW's early access, sort of tweaking FOMO, and then said you can sign up to Patreon for early access.
But yeah, anyway, well, I think I agree with you. We're not GW shields by any stretch. If we think something's shit by GW, we've said it in the past, especially with game systems and stuff like. We've said, I like this, but And when it comes to GW's prices, I'm never going to have a comment on that other than it's a luxury product. What do you want? You know?
Yeah, and I think we could say whether it's value for money.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, most stuff GW does isn't value for money because it's really fucking expensive little plastic toy soldiers. I mean, it's hard to try and put that on the value of is it value for money compared to food or shelter or warmth. It's like it's all an expensive hobby.
Yes and no. You could probably see me disagreeing there. Obviously you're right, but that's a slightly different thing because you can still get food and warmth and it not be value for money.
Yeah, but when you compare it on the scale,
I suppose I feel like you've only got X pounds to spend on your hobby, and you deserve value for money out of that.
True, but if if GW aren't going to give you that, then you don't have to buy their product. You could go elsewhere.
No, absolutely, yeah. But I think I feel like the way to deal with that for the channel and just generally in life is for us to accentuate the good things out there that we find. Not that we've gone that far, we haven't, because we have been in the GW ring fence, I suppose. But we find other things and say these are really good. Enjoy these, rather than this thing from GW is shit. I mean, we might say this thing from GW is okay, but it's far too expensive. Try this somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think. But I think it's easy to say, "Oh, this is rubbish."
Yeah, definitely. It's much.
This is good, like Blitzball, VJ.
It's definitely easier to just say GW bad, and blame them, when actually there's a lot of other factors there. So anyway, getting back to Harrowdeep, talking about prices, I do think 65 quid is starting to really take the piss for a box game. I put a comment on a Facebook thread saying, who's paying 65 quid though? Surely everyone's going to go somewhere else and get it instead of from GW. And I think it was Mike put a comment on there and said, or I said, why would you pay 65 quid for it? And Mike Marriott himself did say on that, well, I want it for the, because GW are doing the plastic tokeny things. Like, well then, you've got to pay your price if you want the free stuff. Ironically, if you want free stuff, you've got to pay more. But if you,
well, they're not free, are they?
Exactly. But you can't then say this is overpriced.
Yes, I suppose it's another.
Sorry.
No, I agree with you.
I think your connection went a bit wonky there for a moment or something. But yeah, it's like you can't complain something 65. You can't complain at 65 quid if somebody then goes, yeah, but you can get it here for 50. And you go, yeah, but I want this other stuff. Well, then you made your choice.
Seth says, make Rivals great at all. I assume you mean there, if Rivals is great, then it might be value for money. I was like, or something along those lines.
Or does he mean make
putting it back to Underworld for the last 10 minutes. Fine. I hope we have some lovely balance and some great Rivals decks. And wouldn't it be amazing if we could all have, with our 7 new warbands,
maybe
just
5.
Maybe 5 really great games without doing any deck building. And it was a really fun format to play. And I kind of feel like we probably need to forget backwards compatibility. Maybe it'll work with Chasm. And I think that's the problem with not doing the soft reboot, is that while Rivals exists and you can play with anything, people are going to find older, less well-tested combinations and break the Rivals format. Of course, that's not to say that this new what is coming will be well-tested.
No, that's true.
That's quite a big if.
I am also a bit concerned that Rivals is just going to be this headline thing of, oh look, here's Rivals, it's great, but then it's immediately going to get dropped and everyone's going to go back into the. But anyway, let's get back into Championship mode.
I mean, I think most people will do that, to be honest. But I'm hoping Rivals will be good. But I'm hoping, but I'm not hopeful. We only have to look at the disparity between Dreepers, Wraith Creepers, and
Celestus Storm
Celestus to see that the thinking out of balanced warbands is not great. I reckon, I think I've said this before, that the designers actually just hate Stormcast. With the possible exception of Stormsire. But even then, they nerfed him. So, but yeah, they just like, well, I've got a Stormcast warband. Well, let's make it shit so nobody plays it.
Lanzo said that they did a Rivals style tournament last week. Was that the one that was on Facebook where who was it who came first?
Soul Raid, isn't it?
Elathane's Soul Raid and oddly enough, the Wormspat were last place.
Last place and last place. Only one of them won one game. I assume that was a game, a round 4 Wormspat matchup.
Yeah, someone had to. It was in Berkeley, California. Okay, I don't know if you posted that on Facebook. I remember seeing a thing on it, but I think the Facebook one I saw was from Europe somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was.
So
we played Vanguard. Are we hoping it will be good or different from that experience? I'm hoping it will be as good, but again, I don't think it will be. And I think it's a shame because I think Vanguard probably, therefore, will be flushed down the loo as a result. And it's an odd decision because it's not like Vanguard was tested. Because I mean, there were almost no events last year.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I was really starting to like Vanguard. Obviously, Vanguard struggles at the start of the season because there's not enough people around. There's not enough warbands to choose from. But I was hoping that maybe Rivals would help in that area until we had more warbands. But now we don't know how many warbands we're going to get. There could only be 5.
Soul Raid did win that one. Well, Wormspat last and second last. As it were. It's probably the same tournament. I think Ravagers were second, weren't they? In the one I saw.
I think it was Ravagers, and then the other one was. It wasn't Vamps. I want to say it was like the.
Reavers?
The Raiders. Or, no, Reavers?
Reapers.
Reapers.
Yeah.
There's Reapers and Reavers.
Reapers, sorry, not Reavers. Garrick's Reavers.
So, yeah, I'm hoping that Rivals gives us enough of a foothold that we can then just pick up and play, because I think for both of us our limited time and desire has diminished our deck building chances phenomenally.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I can see us ending up playing Vanguard some form, even if he's dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the Ward and any Sepulchral Guard from playing Air Dead, and they still play. So maybe we'll just keep playing the Vanguard.
Although I suspect that maybe we'll end up, maybe we'll just play Rivals format games with the warband only specific cards.
Depends how balanced it is and whether people watch it. Because we have found people who didn't watch the warband only games so much.
True, although at the same time people just weren't watching our games anyway, so I say we do what we want, and people who want to watch it can.
Yeah. 5 minutes left.
5 minutes left.
Everybody, what should we talk about for the last 5 minutes? We haven't got any competitions to announce or anything like that.
Nothing like that, unless you're one of our patrons already, in which case don't forget your Halloween entry for this month. The winner of this month will, as like all other months, get £30 worth of hobbying supplies.
I wonder if you could change the lantern. What's her name's lantern? Zandire's lantern.
Or for a pumpkin.
For a pumpkin, yeah.
Or change your head for a pumpkin, judging by what everyone online's been saying.
Nobody likes that head, do they?
No. I think it's the paint job. I think it will look fine when someone who's a better painter will get hold of it.
Oh dear. Won't look good when I've got hold of it.
It's going to be white with a flesh wash. That's all it's getting from me.
I've been painting Guitari this week.
Ooh.
And I've kind of like hated them. I've reached the point where they don't actually look too bad.
Bruce says that he's heard the Harrowdeep works very well with Lego.
Yeah, that would be cool. I was thinking today actually. I wonder whether there's anybody who does Lego, sort of 40k fantasy stuff. Kill team with Lego.
There was somebody online that would post stuff from their Insta, which was basically they'd made 40k into Lego so much, like they had the backpack on the Marines and that kind of stuff, and they looked awesome. And I really
I've seen those.
I really wish they'd provided like a bits list for the Lego website, so you could order the bits to make that model, because that would have been fantastic.
Anthony is getting excited for Harrowdeep. I'm looking forward to getting our box and seeing what's inside it and looking at the cards and playing it. I suppose I still feel a bit burnt out from last year's
just non-event
frustrating release.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just intrigued now by what the hell's going on with the card numbering system. I just
It's just what Pete wants to know.
that's all I want to know is how many warbands are we actually getting now? Because it doesn't look like we're getting more than 5, which
Maybe
just seems
Bladeborn will
bonkers.
fill the. Sorry, maybe Bladeborn will fill the casual niche segment that Rivals is leaning towards. It's a different beast, but it is a good game.
Yes, I'm actually looking forward to us playing more of that on the channel. Because I reckon we could fit that in about 30 minutes. We could probably get 2, 3, 4 games of that in an evening if we really wanted to.
Yeah, smash them out.
We could, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because there was a question, was it Mr. Marlowe asked right near the start what our biggest bang for buck or how long games take us. And games like Kill Team and God Tier, they take a whole evening for us by the time we've set up and recorded our intros and our post-game wash-up and stuff. Underworlds, we used to be able to get 2 games in an evening. Blitzball, we could probably get 2 games in an evening. Bladeball, I reckon we could get 2 games in an evening.
Yeah.
Fire Team, I'm not 100% sure on. Maybe 2 games.
Aeronautica, John Grant, isn't it? I think John's bringing Aeronautica with him when he comes. Visits the studio.
Aeronautica, I'm interested to see, because supposedly that's half an hour a game. But that might be like a really small 75-point game. And people
Not when we
interested.
play, it's not.
Well, I'm just thinking, it might be 30 minutes if you've only got 3 models each, but nobody, people might not be interested in that. They might want to see the 150-point games, in which case that might be then an hour and a half rather than...
Yeah, that's the kind of God tier problem.
Yeah.
In that the game isn't as good when you play with 1 or 2 teams. We had a brilliant game. It's coming out. Is it coming out this week? This weekend?
No, it's already on Patreon for anybody who wants to see it.
And it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I loved the similarities, but I particularly love the differences from Underworld. But it took us forever.
It did take us forever.
I worry Aeronautica might be similar in that it's quick to play in a simple game that's not so interesting to play or watch. And then when you have a big game, which is tactically more interesting, it just takes a long time to play. But we'll be playing hopefully with John's lovely Aeronautica figures. He's painted them and they're all beautiful.
I mean, that is the other plus side to the Aeronautica. The models do look pretty cool. I do like the planes and stuff. The only thing that kind of makes me throw up a bit in my mouth is the fact that they do have cardstock additions to the game.
Yeah, it is on hexes.
It is on hexes, which is another plus. And I think the dice rolling mechanic is very simple. It's just like you hit on 5s or something like that, and that's about it.
Yeah, John said that to me. That worried me. I like things that hit on 3s. They're over much quicker. All right, and I'm dead.
The other thing I did like about it was somebody. It wasn't a GW thing, but somebody did little like smoke trail tokens for the damage markers on the vehicles. So you could then have these little smoke trails come off it, and the more damage it got, the more smoke trails it had coming up. I was like, oh, I quite like that.
Nice.
But yeah. So yeah, we'll probably give that a bash at some point. We'll have a game, a try game first, then maybe a proper full game in a little while. But like you say, we've got so many things that we want to do at the minute on the channel.
Yes, yeah, it's quite exciting to be on the channel at the moment. Quite apart from the lack of time, I'm quite excited for all the different things that we would like to do. So hopefully we can produce. If we could just get it out faster, then there'll be all sorts of exciting stuff to watch. But hopefully we'll keep making good stuff. And so we've got Harrowdeep. There's going to be some Kill Team. There's going to be some Blitzball. That's like paid for. We've got to do that now.
Yeah.
And we're going to say we'll hopefully get some Aeronautica on the channel. And yeah, so the world is our oyster, I suppose.
Yeah.
But we're trying positive gaming.
Positive gaming. And positive gaming doesn't mean being a shill.
No.
Because, it's not like we have an NDA side that's telling us we can't talk badly about these things. Because neither of us have signed an NDA.
I have, but it was a bit vague as to what it was for.
Yeah. And it also didn't cover any of the stuff about not being able to say bad.
But apparently I'm not allowed to ask whether my children are mine, or something like that.
I'm not sure
it certainly didn't have the bit in it about I'm not even going to go into it because mine doesn't have that, so I can't even comment on it. But it doesn't have the controversial thing that's causing controversy. As far as I can tell, it's bollocks.
Yeah.
But he's a little bit old mine now, so maybe there's a new one. But they've now come to me and said, "Oh, you must sign a new one." So
that was another thing in one of those discourse videos where they were talking about the price dropping, the stock price dropping. Like maybe it's because of the NDA thing. Like it's not because of the fucking NDA thing. Because the only people who noticed that were all the neckbeard dweebs who were frothing at the gills about it, and that's it. There's not one fucker on Wall Street going, "Quick, sell GW stock. They've got a really shitty NDA." Not how the world works, I'm afraid.
Somebody's made up that they've got a shitty NDA.
Yeah, that's just not how the world works. I'm afraid to tell you. So anyway, Andrew Marlowe says he's finished his Undead Blitzball team. So Andrew, send them our way so that I can play them, because Mr. Morph says he wants to see Skaven versus Undead, and I'm not sure I can get my Undead painted in time. So send them our way.
Bring them over here. I'll synthwave them with the airbrush. You don't want me to do that. Not yet.
So that'll be we've got Blitzball coming up. We've got the God tier games on Patreon. Will be coming out on YouTube on Friday. We'll be doing Harrowdeep this week and some unboxing and some stuff around the rules.
I want to do some more Lego.
Lego Marvel Crisis Protocol, definitely. We'll obviously.
If you haven't watched that video, go and watch it and like it and share it with all your friends so we get a following.
We're getting John in to show us Aeronautica and to play a game of Harrowdeep with some as yet undisclosed warbands, and then maybe then we'll play and record a game of Aeronautica, and we've got Blitzball as well, and at some point maybe we'll try and get some more Fire Team. We've got to do Bladeborn, soon.
Yeah, we have. We've had ages to do that, and now we've actually got to do it.
We could have done it absolutely ages ago. We've just not done it now. We're like, oh shit, when are we going to fit Bladeborn in? At least we might be able to fit Bladeborn and Blitzball in the same evening. Yeah. So there we go.
Well, I'm hopefully going on holiday at some point. Whoa!
That's a good point. We better check our schedules, make sure we can fit all this nonsense in.
Yeah.
But thank you to everybody who gave us money this evening. It was very nice of you, and it really made us feel warm and fuzzy inside. And anybody who's watching this either now or later on who's heard the word Patreon mentioned a few times is wondering, go and check it out. You'll get access to the Discord,
brilliant.
Monthly competitions, early access to the videos, all that kind of stuff.
Really great puns.
Yep.
Daily puns.
Hourly almost sometimes, depending on what's going on.
Sometimes it's like a rat-a-tat-tat of a machine gun of puns, or a machine pun, I suppose.
A channel about food, there's a channel about pets, there's a channel for everything in there. There's even a mental health channel for everybody to get all that off your chest where you just want to say life.
Vent.
Exactly.
Life. Yes.
So thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Do give us a like and a thumbs up. Do follow, ring the bell and all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't ring that bell, you won't see when we have new content coming up.
No.
So how shit's that? Thanks a lot, YouTube. And stay safe and well, everybody. And we'll see you soon. Maybe in Harrowdeep. Bye.
Yes. Bye.